ואני ברוב חסדך אבוא ואשמח אשתחווה לך על קודשך וירוסך.
Hello everyone, this is the second in the series of how uncomfortable do you have to be in order to attend a minyan, or to be precise, how crazy do you have to go in order to attend a minyan. And last time we talked about distances, but this time I'd like to talk about what happens if you do not have the mindset to daven. There's a Gemara in Masechet Brachos Daf Lamed Amud Bet saying, Rabbi Eliezer, Lo olam yimod adam et atzmo, im yachol lechaven et libo yitpalel, yitpalel, ve'im lav al yitpalel. A person should always know himself. If he has the kavana and the right mindset to daven, he should daven, and if not, don't daven. And indeed, the Torah in Simon Tzadik Chet starts telling you all the things that could prevent you from davening because you don't have the right mindset. Whoever doesn't have a clear mind shouldn't daven. Rabbi Chanina Rav Chanina, on the day that he was very, very mad, didn't daven. If you come from a long journey, say you're jet lag, you shouldn't daven for 3 days. Shmuel would not daven in the house in which there was a bad smell. And Rav Papa wouldn't daven in a house that makes a certain fish and he didn't like the smell. So as you can see, you don't daven under all circumstances. You got to have the right mindset. You got to have the right environment. And many things can prevent you from doing that. The Shulchan Aruch seems to paskin this mefurash. Siman Tzadik Chet Seif Bet Lo Yitpalel b'makom sheyesh davar shemevatel kavanato v'lo b'sha'a hamevatel et kavanato. Very succinctly he says, don't daven in a place that you don't have kavana. Say, don't daven on a highway where you're more worried about being run over than you are about davening. V'lo b'sha'a hamevatel et kavanato. And not at a time in which is not good for kavana. You're in the middle of a meeting, you have a lot of things on your mind, not a time to daven. The Ramah in a different place, Simon Kuf Aleph Seif Bet says, Lo yitpalel b'libo levad, ela mechatech dvarim b'schotav, u'mashmi'a lo'ozno belachash, ve'lo yashmi'a kolo. A person should daven, move his lips, but not allow anything to be said, what we call the silent amida. But then he says, if a person cannot say it quietly and still have kavana, mutar bi'akalo. You can even say the silent amida less silent. Of course, that's only if you're davening alone. But b'tzibur asur, but not when you're davening in a minyan, because you're going to bother other people. Taz explains that you could have kavana when you daven quietly. If you have better kavana when saying it out loud, mikre then according to the Ramah, it's in the category of you don't have kavana, even though you do, but not enough. You can have more, and therefore he can daven not in a minyan, on his own. So suffice it to say, we see that both the Shulchan Aruch and the Ramah say very clearly, kavana is an extremely important component in davening. Without it, you shouldn't daven. However, you have to learn the Shulchan Aruch from beginning to end. You can't just quote one and not the other. So indeed, in Simon Tzadik Chet, Seif Bet, he says, despite the fact that I just said that you shouldn't daven in a place shemevatel kavanato b'sha'a shemevatel et kavanato, still, things have changed. Once upon a time, people had more kavana. Be it the ADHD we all suffer from, be it whatever it might be. The bottom line is, we have less kavana today, and therefore, because we always have less kavana, the bottom line is, you should daven, and don't worry about all these things. So yes, if you're very, very, very distraught, they just had a burglary and it's in your store, you shouldn't daven. But on a regular day, we have 15 things going through our minds, we should still daven. So as you can see, there's a balance here, and it's not exactly clear where it ends. And just to give another illustration of this, the Shulchan Aruch paskins, based on the Gemara, on the night that a person is going to get married, and it's the first time he's going to be with a woman alone, he's very worried. He shouldn't say Kriyat Shema because he won't have Kavana. But then he adds the same postscript like he adds about davening. This a long time ago, people had Kavana every other night, and the night they didn't get married, they didn't. But today, no one really has Kavana the way they should. Even a chassan that's about to get married should still say Kriyat Shema. And indeed, another illustration of this is davening itself. So you're finally in shul, you're standing there, and Baruch Hashem, you're doing what you're supposed to do. Comes along the Shulchan Aruch and says, when you get to the Amidah, you should have Kavana in all the blessings, the 19 blessings during the week, the 7 on Shabbos and Yontiv, and the 9 in the Musaf of Rosh Hashanah. But if you can't have Kavana for all of them, you should at least have Kavana in the first bracha called Avot. Baruch Atah Hashem, Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, ending with the words Magen Avraham. And if you didn't have Kavana there, even though the other 18 blessings, the other 6 blessings, the other 8 blessings you did, you should now have to repeat your Amidah. Once again, the Ramah comes along and says, ho ho, ha'itna today, and chuzrim b'shvil chesron kavana. You don't go back. Sha'af b'chazara, karol v'ushalo yichaven. Imken lama yachzor. If we don't have kavana, and that's the way we are, then what good is it to repeat your Amidah? You won't have kavana the second time too. If 15 things are going through your head in your davening, then those 15 things doesn't go away when you daven again. And therefore, says the Ramah, don't repeat it. It's a bracha levatala. So as you can see, there's a delicate balance here between kavana on the one hand and between attending a minyan on the other. It seems like when things are, quote, unquote, normative, then you should attend a minyan. We all don't have the right level of kavana. Hopefully we will. And then these laws will come into play. But since we don't, we attend a minyan. On that, says the Pri Megadim, Ha'itna, today, we should not give a psak halacha that someone is allowed to daven on his own in his home in order to daven out loud with kavana. Why? But people might learn from him and say, hey, this guy doesn't go ahead and daven in a minyan, so I also don't have to daven for a minyan. He won't go into the nitty-gritty details that he's only doing it for kavana reasons. He'll say, if he doesn't daven in a minyan, I don't have to. And therefore he says, if you happen to be the Gdolador, and everyone knows that everything you do is according to a halacha, then they might ask, hey, why don't go to a minyan? And you'll be able to answer. But if not, it's just a regular balabas, you should go to a minyan, even though, albeit, you can have more if you daven in your living room. However, what happens in that one specific instance in which you say, Rabbi, I have more kavana in my living room than I do at shul. In my living room, the air conditioning works exactly at the temperature I want. In my living room, no one's bothering me. No one's looking at me. Should you attend a minyan? If your kavana is better when you daven alone? More about that in the next part.